The battery light on Penelope Nash's dashboard had been flickering for exactly 3 days before her sleek black Mercedes finally gave up in the parking lot of Riverside Elementary School on a Thursday afternoon at 4:15. She had been there for a presentation about corporate mentorship programs, something her assistant had added to her calendar without much explanation. And now she sat in the driver's seat of her $100,000 car, staring at the completely dead instrument panel with a mixture of disbelief and frustration. Penelope prided herself on preparation. As CEO of Nash Technologies, a software company she had built from the ground up over the past 12 years, she approached every aspect of her life with meticulous planning. She had backup plans for her backup plans. But somehow, in the chaos of back-to-back meetings, international conference calls, and the preparation for their newest product launch, she had ignored that flickering light. Now, at 32 years old, with her phone at 12% battery and her emergency roadside assistance number buried somewhere in her email, she felt unusually helpless. The school parking lot was emptying quickly as parents collected their children. She watched families loading into minivans and sedans, backpacks being tossed into trunks, children chattering about their days. She was just about to start searching for that roadside assistance number when someone knocked on her window. Penelope looked up to see a man about her age, maybe a year or two older, with dark hair that looked like it could use a trim and concerned hazel eyes. He wore worn jeans and a faded blue flannel shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms that suggested he worked with his hands. Behind him stood a little girl, maybe 6 or 7 years old, with the same hazel eyes and dark hair pulled into 2 slightly messy braids. Penelope rolled down her window manually, something she rarely had to do with her automatic windows. "Sorry to bother you," the man said, his voice warm and genuine. "I noticed you have been sitting here for a while. Car trouble?" "Dead battery," Penelope admitted, feeling oddly embarrassed. "I should have taken care of it earlier this week." The man nodded knowingly. "That will do it. I have jumper cables in my truck if you want to jump. Should get you running again." Penelope felt a wave of relief. "That would be incredibly helpful, thank you." "No problem, let me pull my truck around. Come on, Lily." He put his hand on the little girl's shoulder, and they walked toward an older Ford pickup truck that had definitely seen better days. The paint was faded, there was a dent in the passenger door, and it made a concerning sound when it started, but it ran. As the man maneuvered his truck to face her car, Penelope got out, suddenly very aware that her designer suit and heels were probably worth more than his entire vehicle. He hopped out with practiced ease, already reaching behind his seat for a set of jumper cables that looked well used. "I am Penelope, by the way," she said as he opened her hood. "Grant Russell," he replied, glancing up with a quick smile, "and this is my daughter, Lily." The little girl waved shyly from beside the truck. "Hi." "Hello, Lily," Penelope said, offering a warm smile. She was not around children often, but something about the girl's tentative smile made her heart squeeze unexpectedly. Grant worked with efficient movements, clearly someone who had done this many times before. As he connected the cables, Penelope found herself studying him. There was something solid about him, grounded in a way that most people in her world were not. His hands were slightly rough, with calluses that spoke of real work, and there was a small scar on his left forearm. "What do you do?" she asked, then immediately wondered if that was too forward. But Grant did not seem to mind. "I am a carpenter," he said, double-checking the connections. "Do custom furniture mostly, some renovation work, whatever keeps the lights on." There was no bitterness in his voice, just matter-of-fact honesty. "Daddy makes really pretty tables," Lily chimed in proudly. "He made my dresser with flowers carved in it." Grant's expression softened when he looked at his daughter. "That is right, sweetheart. Okay, Penelope, try starting your car now." She slid back into the driver's seat and turned the key. The engine turned over immediately, purring to life. Relief flooded through her. "Thank you so much," she said, getting back out. Really, you are a lifesaver. Can I pay you for your time? Grant was already disconnecting the cables, shaking his head. No need, just paying it forward. Someone helped me out when I was stranded with Lily a few months back. Just help someone else when you get the chance. Something about his easy generosity made Penelope's chest tighten. In her world, everything had a price, every favor came with an expectation. At least let me buy you both dinner or something. Grant paused, glancing at Lily, who was looking at Penelope with curious eyes. That is nice of you, but we are good. You should probably get that battery replaced soon, though. This is just a temporary fix. I will, Penelope promised. She watched as he wound up the cables and stored them back in his truck. Do you have a business card for your carpentry work? He looked surprised but pulled out his wallet, extracting a simple card with his name, number, and the words custom carpentry and woodwork printed on it. Penelope took it, her fingers brushing his briefly. Even that small contact sent an unexpected jolt through her. I am serious about the dinner, she said, or coffee, as a thank you. Grant studied her for a moment, and Penelope had the distinct impression he was trying to figure her out. Finally, he nodded slowly. All right, coffee sometime, give me a call. I will, she said, and meant it. As she drove to the Mercedes dealership to get her battery replaced, Penelope realized she was smiling. She could not remember the last time such a simple interaction had left her feeling this way. Warm, somehow. Hopeful. She told herself it was just gratitude. That night, after the battery had been replaced, and she was back in her downtown penthouse apartment with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, Penelope found herself thinking about Grant Russell. She pulled his card from her purse and set it on her marble kitchen counter, staring at it while she ate takeout sushi and responded to work emails. There was no reason she should be thinking about him. They had exchanged maybe 10 minutes of conversation. He had helped her with her car, that was all. Penelope dated occasionally, though nothing serious in the past few years. She had been too focused on growing her company, on proving herself in the male-dominated tech industry. The men she typically went out with were executives, entrepreneurs, venture capitalists. Men in expensive suits who talked about market share and stock options. Grant Russell in his worn flannel shirt and faded jeans should not have made an impression, but he had. 3 days later, on Sunday afternoon, Penelope found herself actually calling the number on the card. She told herself it was just to say thank you properly, maybe send him a gift card or something. The phone rang 4 times before he answered. Hello, Grant, this is Penelope, from Thursday. The dead battery. Oh, hey, she could hear the smile in his voice. I was not sure you would actually call. I said I would, she replied. Are you busy? Just finishing up some sanding in my workshop. What is going on? I wanted to take you and Lily for coffee or lunch. To say thank you properly. There was a pause. In the background, she could hear what sounded like a little girl's laughter. You really don't need to do that. I want to, Penelope said, and realized it was true. Please, I promised. Another pause, longer this time. All right. Lily would probably love to go somewhere. How about that diner on 5th Street? Maxwell's, they have great milkshakes. I do not think I have been there, Penelope admitted. Then you are missing out. 2 o'clock work for you? Perfect. Maxwell's diner was not the kind of place Penelope usually frequented. The booths had cracked vinyl seats patched with duct tape in places. The menu was laminated and slightly sticky, and the air smelled like coffee and bacon grease. But it was packed with families, and when she walked in at exactly 2 o'clock, she saw Grant and Lily already seated in a corner booth. Lily saw her first, her face lighting up with recognition. Grant stood as she approached, and Penelope noticed he had made an effort, wearing clean dark jeans and a button-down shirt, though it was still casual by her standards. Hi, Penelope said, sliding into the booth across from them. Thank you for meeting me. Thanks for inviting us, Grant replied. Lily has been excited since I told her. We do not eat out much. Are you a princess? Lily asked suddenly, her eyes wide. You look like a princess. Penelope could not help but laugh. She had dressed down for the occasion, wearing jeans and a cashmere sweater, but she supposed her clothes still screamed money. "No, sweetheart, I just work a lot." "What do you do?" Grant asked, echoing her question from their first meeting. "I run a technology company, software development." She watched for his reaction, but he just nodded with interest. "That is impressive. You must be pretty good at it." "I try," she said modestly, though Nash Technologies had just been valued at over $50 million. "How long have you been doing carpentry?" "About 10 years professionally," Grant said. "I learned from my grandfather growing up. After Lily's mom and I split, I went full-time on my own, more flexible hours." "Mommy lives in Seattle now," Lily announced, picking up a crayon to color the paper menu. "She has a new husband." "Lily," Grant said gently, a hint of warning in his tone. "It is okay," Penelope said quickly. "That must be hard, though, not seeing your mom as much." Lily shrugged with the resilience of children. "Daddy says she still loves me. She just needed to find her own happy." Penelope glanced at Grant, who looked both proud and pained. "That is right," he said softly. "And we are doing just fine, aren't we, Bug?" "Yep. Daddy lets me help in his workshop sometimes. I have my own safety goggles." The waitress came by, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a worn apron. Grant and Lily ordered like they knew the menu by heart. Penelope ordered a BLT, going with something safe. Over lunch, she learned more about their life. Grant had Lily full-time, with her mother visiting twice a year. It had been 3 years since the divorce. He worked out of a small workshop he rented on the edge of town, taking whatever commissions he could get. Business was steady but not spectacular. He was making ends meet, but there was not much room for extras. Lily attended Riverside Elementary, the same school where Penelope's car had died. Grant was involved in the PTA, coached weekend soccer for the kindergarten and first-grade kids, and somehow managed to keep a 7-year-old fed, clothed, and happy while running his own business. "That sounds exhausting," Penelope said honestly. Grant grinned. "Some days, but it is worth it." He ruffled Lily's hair affectionately. "She is my whole world." Something about the way he said it, the absolute certainty and love in his voice, made Penelope's heart ache. She had built an empire, had money and success and independence, but she could not remember the last time someone had looked at her the way Grant looked at his daughter. Like she was everything that mattered. "What about you?" Grant asked. "Family. My parents are in Florida, retired." "I have a younger brother in Boston. We are not super close." She paused. "I suppose I am married to my work." "That must be lonely sometimes." The observation was gentle, not judgmental, but it hit hard. "Sometimes," Penelope admitted, "but it is what I chose." Lily finished her milkshake with a loud slurp that made Grant laugh and gently remind her about manners. Penelope found herself captivated by their dynamic, the easy affection between father and daughter. When the check came, she grabbed it quickly despite Grant's protests. "You jumped my car," she reminded him. "This is the least I can do." Outside the diner, they stood in the afternoon sun. Lily was spinning in circles, her arms out wide, humming to herself. "Thank you again," Grant said. "This was really nice." "It was," Penelope agreed. Then, before she could overthink it, "Would you want to do this again sometime, just as friends?" Grant studied her with those hazel eyes, and she wondered what he saw. Finally, he smiled. "Yeah, I would like that." They exchanged phone numbers properly this time, and as Penelope drove back to her empty apartment, she felt lighter than she had in months. Over the next few weeks, Penelope and Grant texted frequently. Short messages at first, then longer conversations. He would send her pictures of his projects, beautiful tables and chairs with intricate details. She would tell him about her day, and he would respond with dad jokes that made her groan and laugh simultaneously. They met for coffee twice, once at a small cafe near his workshop where the coffee was strong and cheap, and once at the expensive place near her office where Grant looked slightly uncomfortable, but game. They talked easily, about everything and nothing. He told her about growing up in a small town 2 hours away, about his grandfather teaching him to see the beauty in wood grain, about the terrifying and wonderful experience of becoming a father at 25. She told him about building her company from nothing, about the challenges of being a woman in tech, about the pride and pressure of success. He listened like he genuinely cared, asked questions that showed he was really paying attention. On their third coffee date, Lily had been with them, having a half-day at school. She had brought a coloring book and sat quietly for a while before eventually climbing into the booth next to Penelope and showing her each picture she had colored, explaining the choices she had made with the seriousness of a master artist. "This one is a butterfly, but I made it purple because regular butterflies are boring," Lily explained. "I think purple butterflies are much more interesting," Penelope agreed solemnly. When Lily went to the bathroom with her dad, an older woman at the next table leaned over. "You have a beautiful family." Penelope opened her mouth to correct her, then stopped. "Thank you," she said instead, and the words felt strange and warm on her tongue. It was not until a month after the battery incident that Grant actually asked her on a real date. "No, Lily, no pretense of gratitude or casual friendship." He called her on a Wednesday evening while she was reviewing quarterly reports. "Hey, so I know this is probably weird, and you can absolutely say no, but would you want to go to dinner with me? Like an actual date?" Penelope's heart kicked into high gear. "Yes, really," he sounded surprised. "Really," she confirmed, smiling at her empty office. "When? Friday night. My sister can watch Lily." "Friday is perfect." She spent an embarrassing amount of time deciding what to wear, finally settling on a simple black dress that was elegant but not too formal. Grant picked her up at her apartment, and she saw his eyes widen when she opened the door. "Wow," he said. "You look amazing." "Thank you." "You look great, too." And he did, in dark slacks and a gray button-down that brought out the green in his hazel eyes. He took her to a small Italian restaurant that had been family-owned for 3 generations. The food was incredible, the atmosphere intimate. They shared a bottle of wine and talked for hours. At some point, his hand found hers across the table, and Penelope felt that same jolt of electricity she had felt when she took his business card. "I have to be honest," Grant said as they shared tiramisu for dessert. "I am not really sure what I am doing here." "What do you mean? You are this successful CEO with your penthouse apartment and your Mercedes. I am a divorced single dad who drives a truck held together with prayer and stubbornness." He was not being self-deprecating, just honest. "We are from pretty different worlds." Penelope squeezed his hand. "Maybe that is not a bad thing. My world can be pretty cold sometimes. Yours seems warmer." "I just don't want you to think I am after your money or something. That is not what this is." "I know," she said softly, and she did. Grant Russell was many things, but he was not a user. "I like you. I like spending time with you. Can that be enough for now?" He smiled, that warm smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "Yeah, that can be enough." When he walked her to her door later that night, there was a moment of hesitation. Then Grant cupped her face gently, giving her time to pull away before kissing her softly. It was sweet and careful and made her toes curl in her expensive heels. "Good night, Penelope," he murmured against her lips. "Good night," she whispered back, already missing the warmth of his hands. After that, they were officially dating, though they kept it relatively quiet. Penelope did not want the press attention that might come if word got out about Nash Technologies' CEO dating anyone, and Grant appreciated the privacy for Lily's sake. They found a rhythm that worked. Grant would text her good morning every day without fail. She would send him lunch when she knew he was busy with a project and likely to forget to eat. They went on dates when Grant's sister could watch Lily, but more often, Penelope found herself being folded into their existing life. She went to Lily's soccer games on Saturday mornings, standing on the sidelines with the other parents and cheering when Lily managed to kick the ball in roughly the right direction. She helped with homework at Grant's small rental house, a two-bedroom with a yard that needed mowing and a porch that creaked. The house was nothing like her penthouse. The furniture was a mix of pieces Grant had made and things from thrift stores. The kitchen was tiny. The bathroom had tiles that were permanently stained, but it felt like a home in a way her expensive apartment never had. There were pictures on the walls, Lily's artwork on the fridge, a mess of shoes by the door. "Sorry, it is not much," Grant had said the first time she came over, looking embarrassed. "It is perfect," Penelope had replied, meaning it. She met his sister, Violet, a woman 2 years younger than Grant with the same hazel eyes and a direct way of speaking that Penelope appreciated. Violet was a nurse at the local hospital, divorced with no kids, and she clearly adored her niece. "So you are the famous Penelope," Violet had said, looking her up and down appraisingly. "Grant has not shut up about you." "Violet," Grant had groaned. "What? It is true, Lily, back me up." "Daddy smiles at his phone a lot now," Lily had confirmed innocently. Penelope had laughed, delighted. "Does he? Traitors, both of you," Grant had muttered, but he was grinning. Violet had pulled Penelope aside later while Grant was putting Lily to bed. "Listen, my brother is the best guy I know. He has been through hell with his ex-wife, and he has rebuilt his entire life around that little girl. If you are not serious about this, about them, you need to walk away now." "I am serious," Penelope had said, surprised by how much she meant it. "I know this is fast, but I really care about him, about both of them." Violet had studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Good, just so we are clear." 2 months into their relationship, Penelope realized she was falling in love. It hit her on a random Tuesday evening at Grant's house. He was making spaghetti for dinner, nothing fancy, while Lily was showing Penelope her rock collection. Each rock had a name and a backstory that the 7-year-old had invented. Penelope was solemnly examining a rock named Frederick when Grant called them to dinner. They ate at the small kitchen table, Lily chattering about her day at school, Grant asking questions and making appropriate impressed sounds. Penelope watched them, watched the way Grant cut Lily's spaghetti into smaller pieces without being asked, the way Lily leaned against him when she laughed, the way he looked at his daughter like she hung the moon. And she thought, this is what I want. The realization terrified her. She had spent her entire adult life building her career, proving she did not need anyone. The idea of needing Grant, of needing this little family, felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, but it also felt right. "Penelope," Grant's voice broke through her thoughts. "You okay?" "Yes," she said, smiling. "I am perfect." After dinner, after Lily was in bed, Grant and Penelope sat on his worn couch, her feet in his lap while he absently traced patterns on her ankle. "Can I tell you something?" she asked. "Anything?" "I have never felt this way before, this content. This happy." Grant looked at her seriously. "Me neither, not since before everything fell apart with Lily's mom." "That does not scare you?" "Terrifies me," he admitted, "but you are worth being scared for." She pulled him down for a kiss, deeper than before, full of promise. They made out on his couch like teenagers until Grant reluctantly pulled back. "I want this," he said, his voice rough. "I want you, but I need to take this slow for Lily's sake. She is already getting attached to you." "I am getting attached to her too," Penelope said softly. "To both of you. If this does not work out, if we do not make it, it will break her heart, and honestly, it would break mine too." Penelope cupped his face. "Then we will make it work. I am not going anywhere, Grant." He kissed her again, soft and sweet. "You say that now, but you have this whole big life. Eventually, you will realize you can do better than a struggling carpenter and his kid." "You are not something to settle for," Penelope said fiercely. "You are kind and loving, and you are an amazing father. You build beautiful things with your hands. You make me laugh. You make me feel seen in a way no one else ever has. So don't you dare talk about yourself like you are not enough." Grant looked stunned. Then he smiled, that full, genuine smile that made her heart skip. "I am definitely falling in love with you." "Good," she whispered. "Because I am definitely falling in love with you too." It was not perfect, of course. They had their challenges. Grant worried constantly about money, stressed about finding enough commissions to keep them afloat. Penelope wanted to help, but knew he would never accept a handout. Instead, she started casually mentioning his work to people in her network. When her VP of operations mentioned needing new furniture for their new house, Penelope showed him pictures of Grant's work. "This is incredible craftsmanship," Mark had said. "Can you connect me?" "I can give you his number," Penelope had replied, keeping her tone casual. The commission was for a complete dining room set, the biggest job Grant had landed in over a year. When he called to tell her, his voice was shaking with excitement. "Penelope, you will not believe this. I just got commissioned for a $10,000 dining set. The guy said you referred him." "I might have shown him your work," she admitted, "but he made the choice himself. He genuinely loves your style." "I could kiss you," Grant said. "I will hold you to that." There were also the challenges of introducing their worlds. Penelope's business partner and best friend, Samantha, was skeptical at first. "A carpenter," she had said over lunch. "Penny, come on, what do you two even have in common?" "More than you would think," Penelope had replied coolly. "And I would appreciate if you would give him a chance." When Samantha finally met Grant at a company event Penelope had convinced him to attend, she had pulled Penelope aside afterward. "Okay, I take it back. He is lovely, and the way he looks at you. Girl, do not let that one go." Grant's world was more welcoming, though Penelope could tell some of his friends did not quite know what to make of her. She met them at a backyard barbecue at Violet's house. They were teachers, nurses, construction workers, all good people who loved Grant and Lily. She felt overdressed, even in jeans and a simple blouse, but Grant kept his hand on her lower back, including her in conversations, making sure she felt welcome. And when one of his buddies made a joke about her, slumming it, Grant had shut it down immediately. "Penelope is here because I asked her to be. She is my girlfriend, and I expect you all to treat her with respect." "Got it." The firmness in his voice left no room for argument. Penelope had fallen a little more in love with him in that moment. 3 months into their relationship, Lily asked Penelope if she could call her Penny like Grant did. They were making cookies together in Grant's kitchen, just the two of them while Grant was at a client meeting. "You do not have to," Lily said quickly. "I just thought since you are Daddy's girlfriend now, and you are here a lot, maybe it would be okay." Penelope's throat felt tight. "I would love that, sweetheart." Lily had grinned and hugged her around the waist, getting flour all over Penelope's cashmere sweater. Penelope did not care one bit. That evening, when Grant came home and Lily had excitedly told him about the nickname, he had pulled Penelope into his arms. "She really loves you," he murmured into her hair. "I really love her too," Penelope replied. "And you." It was the first time either of them had said it directly without qualifiers. Grant pulled back to look at her, his eyes searching her face. "I love you too, so much it scares me sometimes." She kissed him, deep and long, until Lily made exaggerated gagging sounds from the doorway, and they broke apart laughing. By 6 months, they had fallen into a comfortable rhythm. Penelope had cut back slightly on her work hours, something Samantha supported once she saw how happy Penelope was. She made it to most of Lily's soccer games and school events. Grant had started building custom furniture for some of her clients, his business growing steadily. He was not rich by any means, but the constant worry about making rent had eased. They still had not spent the night together, though they wanted to. Grant was old-fashioned about it, not wanting Lily to wake up and find Penelope there until they were more certain about their future. Penelope respected that, even as it frustrated her. But everything changed one Wednesday afternoon. Penelope was in a board meeting when her phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. She normally would have ignored it, but something made her glance at it. The area code was local. She excused herself and stepped into the hallway. "Hello." "Is this Penelope Nash?" A woman's voice, professional. "Yes, who is this?" "This is Amanda from Riverside Elementary. I am calling because you are listed as an emergency contact for Lily Russell. There has been an incident." Penelope's blood ran cold. "What happened? Is she okay?" She took a fall on the playground. We called her father first, but he is not answering. She is with the school nurse and she is conscious and talking, but we think she may have broken her arm. We need someone to take her to the emergency room. I am on my way. Tell her I am coming, please. Penelope did not remember leaving the office or driving to the school. She just knew that suddenly she was in the nurse's office, and Lily was sitting on the examination table with tears streaming down her face, cradling her left arm. "Penny," Lily sobbed when she saw her. "It hurts." "I know, baby, I know." Penelope gathered her carefully into her arms. "We are going to get you all fixed up, okay? Where is your dad?" "I have been trying to reach Mr. Russell," the nurse said. "His phone keeps going to voicemail." "He might be in his workshop," Penelope said, her own phone pressed to her ear. "He does not always hear it when he is using the power tools. I will keep trying. Can I take her to the hospital?" "Yes, you are authorized. Here are her medical forms." Penelope carried Lily to her car, got her buckled in as gently as possible, and drove to the hospital while simultaneously trying to reach Grant. Finally, when they were almost there, he answered. "Penny, sorry, I was sanding and just saw all your calls. What is wrong?" Lily fell at school. "I am taking her to the emergency room. I think her arm is broken." "Oh God, which hospital? I am coming right now." "Valley General. Grant, she is okay, I promise. She is scared and in pain, but she is okay. I will be there in 15 minutes. He made it in 12. Penelope was in the waiting room with Lily, who had calmed down slightly, when Grant burst through the doors looking terrified. Lily saw him and started crying again. "Daddy?" "I am here, Bug. I am so sorry. I am here now." He scooped her up carefully, mindful of her arm, and looked at Penelope over Lily's head. "Thank you. God, Penelope, thank you so much." "Of course," she said softly. "Always." They took Lily back for x-rays. It was indeed broken, a clean fracture that would heal fine but required a cast. Lily got to pick the color and chose purple, of course. By the time they left the hospital, it was evening, and Lily was exhausted from the trauma and the pain medication. Grant carried her to his truck, and Penelope followed them back to his house. While Grant put Lily to bed, Penelope ordered food to be delivered and made tea. When Grant came back downstairs, he looked exhausted. "She is asleep. The doctor said she will be fine, but it is going to be a rough few days with the pain." He sat down heavily on the couch. "Thank you for being there. When I saw all those missed calls and listened to your voicemail, my heart stopped. I am just glad I could help." Penelope sat next to him, taking his hand. "She asked for me. When she was hurt, she asked for me. Of course she did. You are her Penny." Grant pulled her close. "You are part of our family now, you know that, right?" "Is that what this is?" Penelope asked quietly. "A family, if you want it to be." He turned to face her fully. "I know it has only been 6 months. I know we probably should wait longer, but I love you, Penelope Nash. I love you and I want this to be real and permanent. I want you in my life and in Lily's life for good." Penelope felt tears prickling her eyes. "I want that too, so much." "Yeah, she kissed him softly. "I love you both. You are my family." They held each other on that worn couch, and Penelope felt more at home than she ever had in her expensive penthouse. The next few days were challenging. Lily was in pain and cranky, which was understandable. Grant had to juggle caring for her and trying to finish the projects he had deadlines on. Penelope took a few days off work, something she never did, to help. She stayed at Grant's house, sleeping in his bed for the first time while he slept on the couch to be near Lily. She cooked meals, read stories, kept Lily entertained with movies and games while Grant worked in his shop. She fielded calls from concerned parents and teachers, organized a meal train from Lily's class, managed the logistics of doctors' appointments and pain medication schedules. By the 3rd day, Grant found her in the kitchen after Lily had finally fallen asleep for a nap. She was doing dishes, wearing one of his old t-shirts and yoga pants, her hair in a messy bun. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, pressing a kiss to her neck. "You are amazing," he murmured. "Do you know that?" "I am just helping," she said, leaning back against him. You are doing more than that. You are being a parent to her, and you are so good at it. I have never done this before, Penelope admitted. Taken care of someone like this. I am terrified I am doing it wrong. You are not. You are perfect. He turned her in his arms. Move in with us. Penelope's eyes widened. What? Move in with us. I know this place is small and not what you are used to, but I want you here. Lily wants you here. This is your home now if you want it to be. Grant, are you sure? I have never been more sure of anything. His hazel eyes were intense, certain. Say yes. Yes, Penelope whispered. Yes, absolutely yes. He kissed her then, deep and passionate, until they heard a small voice from the doorway. Are you guys done kissing? I am hungry. They broke apart, laughing. Lily was standing there in her princess pajamas, purple cast prominently displayed, looking cranky and adorable. Come here, Bug, Grant said, scooping her up carefully. What do you want to eat? Can Penny make her special mac and cheese? I do not know if it is that special, Penelope said, smiling. But yes, I can make it. As she cooked and listened to Grant and Lily talking in the living room, Penelope thought about how much her life had changed in 6 months. She had gone from a lonely CEO in a perfect apartment to a woman standing in a tiny kitchen making box mac and cheese for a man and his daughter, and she had never been happier. Moving in together took a few weeks to coordinate. Penelope had to figure out what to do with her penthouse and most of her belongings. Grant insisted she should keep it and rent it out, that she should always have something that was just hers. They compromised. She would keep it for now, maybe use it as an office, but her home was with them. She brought the things that mattered, her clothes, her books, her laptop. Grant cleaned out half his closet for her and built her a beautiful desk for the corner of his bedroom so she could work from home sometimes. Lily helped her unpack, treating it like the most exciting event ever. Now you can be here every morning, Lily said happily, carefully placing Penelope's jewelry box on the dresser with her one good hand. Now I can be here every morning, Penelope agreed, her heart full. The first morning she woke up in Grant's bed, in their bed, with sunlight streaming through the curtains and his arm around her waist. Penelope felt a peace she had never experienced. This was right. This was home. Grant stirred beside her, pulling her closer. Morning, he mumbled, his voice rough with sleep. Good morning. No regrets. Not a single one. She turned to face him. This is perfect. He kissed her slowly, sweetly, until they heard little footsteps in the hallway and quickly separated just before Lily burst into the room. Penny. You are really here. Can you make pancakes? Sure, sweetheart. Go pick out your clothes for school and I will start breakfast. As Lily scampered off, Grant pulled Penelope back for one more quick kiss. I could get used to this. Me too. They fell into a new routine. Penelope still went to her office most days, but she worked from home 1 or 2 days a week. She was there for school pickups, for homework help, for dinner as a family. She and Grant cooked together, cleaned together, parented together. It felt natural, like they had been doing this for years instead of months. Lily's arm healed well, and soon she was back to her energetic self. She started calling Penelope Mama Penny sometimes, which the first time it happened made both Penelope and Grant freeze. Is that okay? Lily had asked, suddenly uncertain. I know you are not my real mama, but you are kind of like a mama, so maybe Mama Penny. Penelope had knelt down to Lily's level, her eyes stinging with tears. That is more than okay, baby. I would be honored. Grant had wrapped his arms around both of them, and they stayed like that, a little family unit, until Lily squirmed and announced she was hungry. 8 months into their relationship, Grant took Penelope back to the diner where they had their first lunch. Lily was with them, chattering away about her upcoming school play where she was going to be a tree. A very important tree, she clarified. I have 2 lines. The most important tree in the forest, Grant agreed solemnly, then he glanced at Penelope. Actually, Bug, I need to talk to Penny about something. Can you go look at the dessert case and pick what you want? Really? Anything? Lily's eyes lit up. Anything. Lily scrambled out of the booth, and Grant turned to face Penelope. He looked nervous, which was unusual for him. "What is wrong?" Penelope asked, concerned. "Nothing is wrong. Everything is right. That is actually the problem." He took her hand. "Penelope, this last year has been the best of my life. You came into our lives and made everything brighter, better. You love Lily like she is your own. You have been patient with me and my baggage. You have made this house a home." "Grant, what? Let me finish before I lose my courage." He smiled shakily. "I know we have not been together that long. I know this is fast, but I also know that I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to raise Lily together. I want to build a future with you." He slid out of the booth and onto one knee. Penelope's hand flew to her mouth. "Penelope Nash, will you marry me?" He pulled out a small box. The ring inside was simple, a sapphire surrounded by small diamonds. "I know it is not much, it is perfect," Penelope interrupted, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, yes, of course, yes." Grant slid the ring on her finger, and then he was kissing her, and she was laughing and crying at the same time. Around them, the other diners started clapping. Lily came running back, eyes wide. "What is happening?" Grant pulled back, grinning. "Penny said yes, she is going to be your stepmom." "Really?" Lily looked between them. "Really, really, really, really," Penelope confirmed. Lily threw herself at both of them, and they held her tight. This little girl who had stolen Penelope's heart just as thoroughly as her father had. They decided on a small wedding. Neither of them wanted a big production. 6 months after the proposal, on a beautiful Saturday in early fall, they got married in the backyard of a small inn just outside the city. 50 guests, mostly family and close friends, witnessed them exchange vows under an arch that Grant had built himself. Lily was the flower girl, wearing a purple dress she had picked out herself and taking her job very seriously. Violet was Penelope's maid of honor, and Grant's best friend Michael stood as his best man. Penelope's parents had flown in, initially skeptical of their daughter marrying a carpenter, but won over within 5 minutes of meeting Grant. Penelope wore a simple ivory dress, elegant but understated. When she walked down the aisle and saw Grant waiting for her, saw the love and awe in his eyes, she knew she had made the right choice. "You are the most beautiful thing I have ever seen," he whispered when she reached him. "You are not so bad yourself," she whispered back, making him grin. The ceremony was short and sweet. They had written their own vows. Grant went first, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "Penelope, before you, I was just surviving, just getting through each day. You taught me how to really live again. You loved my daughter without hesitation. You brought light and joy and laughter back into our lives. I promise to love you, to support your dreams, to be your partner in everything. I promise to always make you coffee in the morning and hold you at night. I promise to build you anything your heart desires, starting with a life full of happiness. I love you today and always." Penelope had to wipe her eyes before she could start. "Grant, when my car died in that parking lot, I thought it was the worst timing. I had so much work to do, so many places to be, but it was actually the best thing that ever happened to me because it brought you into my life. You and Lily taught me that success is not just about money or power. It is about love, about family, about coming home to the people who matter most. You make me laugh every day. You make me feel cherished and seen. And you gave me the greatest gift when you let me into Lily's life. I promise to love you both with everything I have. I promise to be there for the good days and the hard days. I promise to always choose this, choose us, choose love. I love you more than words can say." There was not a dry eye in the crowd. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Grant cupped Penelope's face tenderly and kissed her like she was something precious. Then they both turned and held out their hands to Lily, who joined them in a group hug while everyone cheered. The reception was held in the inn's dining room, decorated simply with flowers and candles. They had a small band, good food, and plenty of laughter. During their first dance, Lily insisted on joining them, and they swayed together, the three of them, a family. Penelope danced with her father, who admitted he had been wrong to doubt Grant. Grant danced with Violet, who teased him about finally making an honest woman of Penelope. And later, Grant and Penelope snuck away for a few moments alone on the terrace. "How are you doing, Mrs. Russell?" he asked, pulling her into his arms. "Perfect, Mr. Russell, though I am keeping my name professionally." "I would not expect anything less." He kissed her forehead. "Thank you." "For what?" "For taking a chance on us, for seeing past the beat-up truck and the tiny house, for loving Lily, for loving me." "Thank you for jumping my battery," Penelope said softly. He laughed, that warm laugh she loved so much. "Best dead battery ever." They spent their wedding night at the inn while Lily stayed with Violet. The next day, they picked her up and drove to a beach house Penelope had rented for a week. It was their honeymoon, all three of them, building sandcastles and collecting seashells and eating ice cream and being a family. On the last night, they sat on the beach watching the sunset. Lily had fallen asleep against Grant's chest, exhausted from a day of playing in the waves. "I have been thinking," Penelope said quietly. "About? Lily is going to be 8 soon, and I know she is enough. She is more than enough. But I have also been thinking about what it would be like to have a baby with you, to experience that together." Grant looked at her, surprised but pleased. "Yeah, only if you want to. I know you did not exactly plan on having more kids." "I did not plan on any of this," Grant said, gesturing between them. "But I would not change a single thing, and the idea of having a baby with you, making a little person who is part of both of us, I love that idea." Penelope smiled, relief flooding through her. "So we will try." "We will try," he confirmed, leaning over to kiss her while being careful not to jostle the sleeping child between them. It took 4 months. 4 months of anticipation and hope, and a few disappointments before Penelope stood in their tiny bathroom, staring at 2 pink lines on a pregnancy test. She walked out to the workshop where Grant was staining a bookshelf. "Grant," he looked up, saw her face, and immediately put down his brush. "What is wrong?" "Nothing is wrong." She held out the test. "I am pregnant." His eyes widened. Then he let out a whoop of joy and picked her up, spinning her around before carefully setting her down. "Really, we are having a baby. We are having a baby." He kissed her deeply, then dropped to his knees and pressed a kiss to her still flat stomach. "Hey there, little one, I am your dad. And I already love you so much." Penelope ran her fingers through his hair, her heart so full she thought it might burst. Telling Lily was the next step. They sat her down that evening after dinner. "Bug, we have something to tell you," Grant started. Lily looked between them, her expression serious. "Am I in trouble?" "No, sweetheart," Penelope said, pulling her onto her lap. "You are going to be a big sister. There is a baby growing in my tummy." Lily's eyes went wide. "Really? A real baby? A real baby, your little brother or sister?" "When? In about 7 months." Lily processed this for a moment. Then, "Can I help pick the name?" Grant and Penelope laughed. "Absolutely," Grant said. "You are going to be the best big sister." Lily threw her arms around Penelope's neck. "I love you, Mama Penny. I love you too, baby girl." The pregnancy was relatively smooth. Penelope had some morning sickness in the first trimester that made work challenging, but she managed. She had already started delegating more at Nash Technologies, grooming Samantha to potentially take over as CEO in a few years. Penelope was ready to step back, to focus more on family. She would stay involved, but in a different capacity. Grant was attentive and wonderful, dealing with her mood swings and weird cravings with patience and humor. Lily was excited, constantly talking to Penelope's growing belly and bringing home pictures she had drawn for the baby. They found out at 20 weeks that they were having a boy. Grant had cried, admitting he was secretly hoping for a son, even though he would have been thrilled with another girl. They decided on the name Gabriel, after Grant's grandfather who had taught him woodworking. Grant spent hours in his workshop building a crib, a changing table, and a rocking chair for the nursery. They converted the small office into a baby room, painting it a soft blue and filling it with books and toys. When Penelope was 8 months pregnant and moving like a beached whale, Grant surprised her by paying off his truck and trading it in. He came home with a newer used SUV, something reliable and safe for their growing family. "Grant, we talked about this. You loved that truck." "I loved that truck," he agreed, "but I love my family more, and that truck was not going to fit 2 car seats safely. This is better." She kissed him, deeply grateful for this man who always put his family first. Gabriel Grant Russell was born on a Tuesday morning in May, after 12 hours of labor. He came into the world screaming, all 8 pounds and 3 ounces of him, with a full head of dark hair and his father's hazel eyes. Grant cut the cord with shaking hands, tears streaming down his face. "He is perfect. Penelope, he is absolutely perfect." When they placed Gabriel in her arms, Penelope understood fully for the first time what unconditional love meant. This tiny person, who she had only just met, owned her heart completely. Lily came to visit later that day with Violet. She approached the hospital bed cautiously, eyes wide as she looked at her baby brother. "He is so small," she whispered. "You were this small once," Grant told her. "Want to hold him?" They arranged pillows and carefully placed Gabriel in Lily's arms. She looked down at him with such love and wonder that Penelope started crying again, blaming hormones. "Hi, Gabriel," Lily said softly. "I am your big sister. I am going to teach you everything, and I am going to protect you forever." "Okay," Gabriel made a small sound, and Lily's face lit up. "He likes me." "Of course he does," Penelope said. "You are the best big sister in the world." The first few months with a newborn were exhausting. Penelope was on maternity leave, and Grant had cut back on commissions to be home more. They survived on coffee and cat naps and takeout, taking shifts with the baby so each could get some sleep. But it was also magical. Watching Grant with Gabriel, the gentle way he handled his son, the love in his eyes. Seeing Lily help with diaper changes and volunteer to fetch things, so proud of her role as big sister. The 4 of them curled up on the couch together, a tangle of limbs and love. When Gabriel was 3 months old, Penelope was rocking him in the nursery late one night. Grant appeared in the doorway, watching them. "You know, I never properly thanked you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For everything. For taking a chance on me, for loving Lily, for giving me Gabriel, for making me believe in happiness again." He came to stand beside her, putting his arm around her shoulders. "3 years ago, when my marriage fell apart, I thought that was it for me. I thought I would just raise Lily and that would be enough. And it would have been. But then you came along and gave me this whole other life I did not know I could have." Penelope leaned against him. "You gave me a life too. I had money and success, but I was lonely. You taught me what really matters. We are pretty good together, huh? The best." They stood there, watching their son sleep, and Penelope thought about that Thursday afternoon 3 years ago when her car had died. The frustrated CEO who thought she did not have time for a delay. The struggling dad just trying to help someone out. It was funny how life worked sometimes. How the universe put you exactly where you needed to be, even when you did not realize you were lost. Gabriel stirred, making his hungry sounds. Penelope settled into the rocking chair to nurse him while Grant sat on the floor beside her, his head resting against her knee. "I have been thinking," Grant said. "The house is getting tight with 4 of us. Maybe we should look for something bigger." "We can afford it now," Penelope agreed. Her company had been acquired by a larger corporation 6 months earlier. She had stayed on as a consultant but was essentially semi-retired at 35. The buyout had been substantial. "What are you thinking?" "Something with a yard for the kids, maybe a bigger workshop for me, room to grow." "Room to grow," Penelope repeated, smiling. "I like that." They found a house 3 months later. Nothing ostentatious, but spacious and comfortable with 4 bedrooms, a big backyard, and a detached garage that would be perfect for Grant's woodworking. It was in the same school district, so Lily would not have to change schools. Moving day was chaotic. Violet helped while Penelope's parents watched the kids. As they unpacked boxes and arranged furniture, Grant pulled Penelope outside to the back porch. "What do you think?" he asked, gesturing to the yard. Room for a swing set over there, maybe a vegetable garden here. It is perfect, Penelope said. Our forever home. Our forever home, he agreed, wrapping his arms around her from behind, with our forever family. Lily started 3rd grade that fall. Gabriel began crawling, getting into everything. Grant's business continued to thrive, with more commissions than he could handle. Penelope consulted part-time from home, spending most of her energy on her family. On their 3rd wedding anniversary, after the kids were in bed, they sat on their back porch with wine and takeout from the Italian restaurant where they had their first date. 3 years, Penelope mused. Feels like longer. In a good way, in the best way. Like I cannot quite remember what life was like before you. Grant took her hand, his thumb rubbing over her wedding ring. I love you, Penelope Russell. Thank you for saying yes to coffee all those years ago. Thank you for saying yes to everything. Best decision I ever made, she said softly. They sat in comfortable silence, watching fireflies dance in the yard. Inside, their children slept safely. They had built a good life together, she and this man who had stopped to help a stranger with a dead battery. It was not the life Penelope had planned. It was better. When Gabriel was 18 months old and Lily was 9, they gathered the family together for an announcement. We are going to have another baby, Penelope said, watching their faces light up. Lily cheered. Gabriel, who did not quite understand, clapped because his sister was clapping. Violet hugged them both. Penelope's parents, who had moved closer to be near their grandchildren, got teary. This pregnancy was easier, perhaps because she knew what to expect. They found out at 20 weeks that they were having a girl. Lily campaigned hard for the name she wanted. Please can we name her Grace? It is such a pretty name, and then her initials would be GR like Daddy and Gabriel. Grant and Penelope looked at each other and smiled. Grace it is, Grant said. Grace Violet Russell. Violet. His sister looked shocked. You are naming her after me. You have been there for me through everything, Grant said. You helped raise Lily when I was falling apart. You welcomed Penelope without hesitation. You are family. It seems right. Violet cried and hugged them both fiercely. Grace was born in early spring, a calm baby with Penelope's blonde hair and Grant's hazel eyes. Lily was immediately in love, wanting to hold her constantly. Gabriel was initially less impressed, more interested in his toy trucks, but gradually warmed up to his baby sister. One evening, when Grace was 2 weeks old, Penelope woke from a nap to find the house quiet. She walked downstairs and stopped at the sight before her. Grant was on the couch, Gabriel asleep on one side of him, Lily on the other reading quietly. Grace was in his arms, wide-eyed and alert. He was talking to her softly, telling her about the house, her siblings, their life. And this is your family, Gracie. Your mama and me, Lily and Gabriel, we are going to love you so much. We are going to make sure you know every single day how special you are. Penelope's throat tightened with emotion. This man, this wonderful man who had been struggling to make ends meet when she met him, had given her everything that mattered. She must have made a sound because he looked up, smiling when he saw her. Hey, good nap? The best. She came to sit beside him, careful not to disturb the children. I love you. I love you too, even though you have baby spit up in your hair. Penelope laughed softly, reaching up to find he was right. Glamorous life we lead. The best life, Grant corrected, leaning over to kiss her. Years passed in a beautiful blur. Lily grew into a confident teenager, excelling in school and playing soccer competitively. Gabriel was all boy, constantly dirty from playing outside, obsessed with building things like his father. Grace was sweet and smart, with a stubborn streak a mile wide. Grant's furniture business had grown enough that he hired 2 apprentices. Penelope had started a nonprofit focused on STEM education for girls, using her experience and connections to make a difference. They were busy but happy, their lives full of soccer games and school plays and family dinners around the table Grant had built on Lily's 16th birthday. Penelope gave her a special gift. It was a journal, leather-bound and beautiful. "I wanted to tell you something," Penelope said as Lily opened it. "You know I am not your biological mother. Your mom will always be your mom, but you made space for me in your heart anyway. You let me love you. You taught me how to be a parent. You gave me the courage to build this family with your dad. I just wanted you to know how grateful I am, how much I love you." Lily was crying, which made Penelope cry. "You are my mom too, Mama Penny. Biology does not change that. You are the one who has been there for everything. You are the one who braids my hair and helps with homework and comes to all my games. You are my mom." They hugged tightly, and Penelope thought about that 7-year-old with the messy braids who had stood in the school parking lot all those years ago. Who could have known that little girl would change her life so completely? That night, Grant found Penelope on the back porch, her usual thinking spot. He sat beside her, taking her hand. "Big day," he said. "She is growing up so fast." "She is, but she is growing up good. We did good." Penelope smiled. "We did not we? All 3 of them. They are amazing. They take after their father." Grant squeezed her hand. "I was thinking, what if we took a trip this summer, just the 2 of us? Violet can watch the kids for a week. We could go somewhere, remember what it is like to just be Grant and Penelope, not just Mom and Dad." "I would love that," Penelope said. "Where would we go?" "I do not know. Somewhere with a beach. Somewhere we can sleep in and have long dinners and not worry about bedtimes." "Sounds perfect." They did take that trip, to a small island off the coast. They slept late, went for long walks on the beach, had leisurely dinners where they talked about everything and nothing. They remembered who they were before kids, while also acknowledging that those people did not really exist anymore. They had been transformed by parenthood, by partnership, by love. "I would not go back," Penelope said one evening as they watched the sunset. "Even if I could, I love this life we built." "Me too," Grant agreed. "Though I do miss being able to sleep past 6 a.m. Penelope laughed. "Gabriel will be a teenager soon. Then we will not be able to get him up before noon." "Truth. Lily is already like that on weekends." They sat in comfortable silence. After all these years, they did not need to fill every moment with words. "Do you ever think about that day?" Penelope asked eventually. "When my car died, all the time," Grant admitted, "I almost did not stop. I was running late to pick up Lily and I thought someone else would help, but something made me stop." "I am glad you did." "Me too, best dead battery ever." Penelope laughed, the same joke they had made on their wedding day. "I was so frustrated that day. I had this huge presentation the next day. I thought it was the worst timing. And now I know the universe has better timing than I do." When they returned home, the kids tackled them with hugs and stories about their week. The house was a mess, but everyone was happy and safe. Violet looked exhausted but content. "Your children are angels," she said dryly. "Absolute angels who definitely did not try to convince me that ice cream for breakfast was a family tradition." "Gabriel," Grant said, trying not to laugh. "In my defense, it should be a family tradition," Gabriel said seriously, making everyone laugh. That night, after baths and stories and tucking everyone in, Grant and Penelope collapsed onto their bed. "It is good to be home," Penelope said. "It is good to have you home," Grant corrected, pulling her close. They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, in the house they had made a home, surrounded by the family they had built together. 20 years after that Thursday afternoon in the school parking lot, Penelope stood in her backyard watching her family. Lily was there with her fiancé, a kind young man studying to be a teacher. Gabriel was 16, tall and lanky, arguing good-naturedly with his best friend about something. Grace was 13, reading in the shade while simultaneously keeping an eye on everything, always the observer. Grant was at the grill, gray threading through his dark hair now, laugh lines deeply etched around his eyes. He caught her watching and winked. Violet was there with her girlfriend, recently introduced to the family and warmly welcomed. Penelope's parents sat at the patio table, older now but still vibrant. Friends and neighbors filled the yard, celebrating nothing in particular and everything that mattered. This was the life she had built. Not with money or power or corporate success, though those things had played their part. But with love, with commitment, with choosing every day to show up for the people who mattered most. Grant came up beside her, sliding his arm around her waist. "What are you thinking about? Dead batteries," Penelope said with a smile. He laughed, understanding immediately. "I should send a thank you note to your mechanic for not fixing it sooner. We should send thank you notes to a lot of people, but mostly I am just grateful. For what? For all of it. For you stopping that day, for Lily asking if I was a princess. For you being brave enough to ask me on a real date, for this whole beautiful, chaotic, perfect life." Grant kissed her temple. "I am grateful too, every single day." Gabriel called for his dad, something about the grill temperature. Grace wanted her mom's opinion on something she was reading. Lily needed help setting up the dessert table. They were needed. They were wanted. They were home. As Penelope walked across the yard toward her daughter, Grant's hand in hers, she thought about that younger version of herself sitting in a dead car, frustrated and impatient. If she could go back and tell that woman what was coming, she would say this: "Sometimes the best things happen when your plans fall apart. Sometimes a dead battery is exactly what you need to find the life you were meant to live. Sometimes a struggling dad with kind eyes and a generous heart is exactly the person you have been waiting for, even if you did not know you were waiting. And sometimes, jumping a battery is just the beginning of the greatest adventure of your life."